The Environmental Protection Agency will officially start the rulemaking process to authorize the year-round sale of E15. RFD-TV's Sarah Mock caught up with the department's acting administrator for the details.
The head of EPA says the White House's announcement on year-round E15 is another example of a promise made and kept by the president.
The E15 year-round. This is going to provide more certainty to American farmers and refining industry, as well as help bolster our American homegrown energy.
The president is instructing EPA to grant a Reed pressure waiver for E15, the lack of which currently stops sales nationwide between June 1st and September 15th. But the rule has a ways to go before it's finalized.
Over the next couple of months, we're going out for notice and comment on the proposal, receive comments back from people, and it's our intention to have this finalized before the driving season next summer.
Wheeler says the public will have time to give comment after official language is published, and he expects to hear from biofuel advocates as well as from blenders who have had concerns about the cost of renewable fuel credits, known as RINs. The administrator says blenders may also benefit from the deal.
Well, what we are doing to try to address their concerns and points is to address some of the price fluctuations to make sure that there's no more market fluctuations in the pricing on the RFS going forward.
The National Petroleum Institute and others have suggested they may try to challenge this change in court, but administration officials say they're not concerned.
Whenever we do anything involving the RFS, we're sued by somebody, but we do have the legal authority to do this, and we believe it will be held up in the courts.
But for those worried about the EPA issuing a rash of waivers to excuse small refiners from their renewable fuel blending obligation, Wheeler says that issue is unrelated to the current E15 announcement.
We're providing more transparency, and we announced some changes a few weeks ago on providing more transparency so everybody knows what we're doing. We are required to give the small refinery exemptions, and this the announcement today should have no impact on that.
Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue says he's had several conversations with the EPA about tightening allowances for small refinery waivers, and he expects to see more moderation in the process of issuing waivers going forward. For RFD-TV, I'm Sarah Mock in Washington.
Thank you, Sarah. Wheeler's timeline for both of the administration's proposed fixes, an E15 waiver and new rules in the renewable fuels credits markets, will be on similar schedule that will hopefully make the higher ethanol blend available year-round by next summer. Joining us now for further perspective is American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings. Thank you very much for joining us, Brian. What are your thoughts on the president's order?
Well, John, we're really encouraged by what the president announced yesterday because it sends the signal to EPA that they need to get the rulemaking out for public comment and get it done in a timely fashion, and that it is the policy position of this administration that retailers should have the option to sell E15 year-round, giving consumers the opportunity to buy it year-round. And so it's the first step in what is an important process, and we will be following through with EPA to try and make sure a legally defensible rule is indeed in place before the 2019 summer driving season.
Well, Brian, what does this mean for the industry, and that includes farmers, retailers, and biofuel producers?
This is really good news for farmers, first and foremost. Does it solve all of the problems facing corn and soybean farmers? Absolutely not, and we acknowledge that. But the opportunity for retailers to have the option to sell more E15, higher ethanol blends, will grind more corn domestically. It will increase demand for ethanol domestically, and so that provides a boost to farmers and to ethanol producers in the U.S. Retailers want to have choices. They want to be able to provide their customers choices. This doesn't force every retailer to sell E15. It simply gives retailers the option to do so. So it's an important flexibility opportunity for retailers looking to distinguish themselves in the marketplace.
So what are the additional benefits, and probably more important, what are you hopeful to see moving forward, or what still needs to be done?
Well, there's going to be some education that will need to take place. Already oil companies are saying E15 will damage your engine. This can't happen. 9 out of every 10 cars on the road today are approved to use E15, one. Number two, this isn't a requirement. It isn't a mandate. When this rule finally becomes in place, hopefully before the summer driving season of next year, It's simply an option for people. And right now, our emphasis is twofold. Number one, thanking the administration and members of Congress who were so forceful in making sure this announcement got done. And number two, following up with EPA Acting Administrator Wheeler to make sure a legally defensible rule is published for public comment very soon, and that final rule is indeed in place before the summer of 2019.
American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings. Brian, thank you very much for joining us.